Hello Liverpool fans, welcome back to Liverpool Voice. The atmosphere around Liverpool has shifted dramatically in recent weeks, transforming what was once cautious optimism around Arne Slot's new era into a deep growing sense of uncertainty. Sources close to the club suggest that tensions inside the boardroom have reached their highest point since the search for Jurgen Klopp's successor earlier in the year. Now barely months into his tenure, Slot is reportedly on the brink of being dismissed, with the Liverpool hierarchy holding advanced internal discussions about turning to one of the most iconic managers in football history, Zinedine Zidane. According to insiders, Liverpool's leadership has been alarmed not only by the run of disappointing results, but also by a perceived disconnect between Slot's tactical ideas and the identity the club had intended to preserve after Klopp's departure. The early period of adaptation, expected to involve stumbles and inconsistencies, has instead developed into a prolonged stretch of underwhelming performances, tactical confusion, and growing discontent among players who reportedly feel unsure about the new direction. What was meant to be a smooth transition has, in the eyes of many observers, become a crisis that may now require drastic action. The pressure intensified after a series of heavy defeats, especially at Anfield, where Liverpool's once intimidating aura seems to have evaporated. Fans have voiced their frustration more loudly than at any time in recent memory, and the club's ownership group, FSG, is said to be increasingly worried about long-term damage should the situation continue without intervention. Though Slot remains outwardly calm in press briefings, those familiar with the internal dynamics describe a manager who is fully aware of the tightening noose around his tenure, and who senses that patience is no longer on his side. Behind the scenes, the possibility of making a managerial change has evolved from a theoretical discussion into an urgent, active plan. Names have been explored, debated, and dismissed. But one name has remained consistently at the top of Liverpool's shortlist, a name that has captured the imagination of both the board and a significant portion of the fan base: Zinedine Zidane. The former Real Madrid coach, a Champions League specialist with a reputation for commanding instant respect, is regarded by Liverpool's key decision-makers as the ideal figure to stabilise the squad and restore elite mentality. What makes the situation even more compelling is that this is not the first time Zidane has attracted Liverpool's attention. Reports indicate that Liverpool discreetly contacted representatives close to Zidane earlier in the year during the initial search that eventually led to Slot's appointment. At the time, Zidane was not ready to return to management, preferring to wait for the right moment and the right project. Now, however, circumstances appear to have shifted. Those who claim familiarity with Zidane's current thinking describe him as more open, more intrigued, and more willing to consider a new challenge outside Spain, particularly at a club with Liverpool's heritage and global reach. Liverpool's recruitment philosophy, normally anchored in long-term planning and strategic consistency, is now being tested by an urgent need to avoid derailment. Large portions of the squad, built carefully over several seasons, remain highly competitive, but the lack of clarity in tactics and roles under Slot has raised concern. Several senior players have privately expressed confusion about adjustments made in training sessions, particularly regarding pressing structures and transitional responsibilities, principles that defined the Klopp era for nearly a decade. When internal disorientation spreads among leaders in the dressing room, clubs of Liverpool's stature rarely hesitate to act. The board's view is reportedly that Zidane could not only command instant trust, but also bring a simplified yet effective tactical framework, something that might suit a squad that has struggled to adapt to Slot's more intricate positional play model. Zidane's approach, often underestimated by critics, centres on maximising player freedom, emotional rhythm, and individual expression. Liverpool's hierarchy believes that such a shift could quickly reawaken the attacking confidence that has been lacking in recent matches. One of the most decisive influences in the club's evaluation process is the belief that Zidane's arrival would carry enormous psychological impact, not only among players eager to work under a football legend, but also among supporters whose frustration could be eased by the arrival of a globally revered figure. Zidane represents a brand of leadership that transcends tactics, a blend of calm authority, big game pedigree, and a reputation for commanding dressing rooms filled with elite talents. In the board's view, Slot's quiet, methodical style has not resonated strongly enough to unify the squad, while Zidane's presence alone could recenter the club's culture. Financially, the move would require significant commitment. Zidane is expected to demand a package befitting his stature, and Liverpool would need to fund a compensation payout for Slot and his staff. Yet internal reports indicate that FSG is prepared to make an exception in this case, viewing it as a necessary investment to prevent further decline. The club cannot afford to drift into mid-table form or lose Champions League qualification, and the sense of urgency has become palpable. The turning point appears to have been a recent high-level meeting in which senior executives reviewed performance data, dressing room atmosphere, and the likely trajectory of the season under Slot's continued leadership. The conclusion, according to those informed about the discussion, was that the risks of inaction now outweigh the benefits of stability. A manager change is no longer considered a question of if, but when, unless an unexpected turnaround occurs immediately. Zidane's suitability extends beyond short-term stability. The board believes his stature could attract top-tier players in future transfer windows, helping Liverpool keep pace with financially powerful rivals. With several key contracts approaching renewal phases, the club also sees value in a manager capable of convincing star players to commit their futures. Zidane's track record of working with some of the world's biggest names is viewed as a decisive asset, especially at a time when Liverpool needs clarity and direction in its long-term squad planning. An interesting aspect of the developing story is that Zidane has long admired Liverpool as a club. He has spoken in the past about Anfield's energy, the historical weight of the badge, and the respect he holds for the Premier League. This admiration could help facilitate negotiations if Liverpool formally makes an approach. While the Premier League's high-intensity schedule has caused some top European managers to hesitate, insiders say Zidane is now more open than ever to experiencing England's top flight. Meanwhile, Slot continues to work with the squad, maintaining professionalism despite the swirling rumours. The Dutch manager is said to be aware of the precariousness of his situation, but remains focused on preparing the team for upcoming fixtures. Publicly, he has defended his methods and asked for patience, but the internal mood suggests that the situation may already be beyond repair. The lack of visible progress combined with deteriorating results has left the board sceptical that a turnaround is truly possible under his leadership. Liverpool's supporters, deeply passionate and famously loyal, are divided. Some still believe Slot deserves more time to impose his football philosophy, acknowledging the magnitude of succeeding a figure as iconic as Klopp. Others argue that the club must act quickly before the season collapses beyond recovery. The emergence of Zidane as a realistic successor has only intensified the debate, with many fans expressing excitement at the prospect of seeing a managerial legend take charge at Anfield. As things stand, the expectation among those close to the situation is that Liverpool will make a final internal decision soon. If results continue to falter, the club could move swiftly, potentially approaching Zidane's camp before the next transfer window. Preparations are reportedly in place for a fast transition should Slot be relieved of his duties. What remains certain is that Liverpool finds itself at a crossroads. The club's identity is in flux, the squad is searching for direction, and the owners are under pressure to show decisive leadership. Whether Zidane ultimately takes the job or not, the fact that the club is seriously considering such a monumental move signals just how critical the moment has become. If the winds continue blowing in their current direction, Liverpool could soon experience one of the most dramatic managerial shifts in recent Premier League history. The arrival of Zinedine Zidane at Anfield, once an unimaginable scenario, now feels closer than ever, while Arne Slot faces the growing likelihood that his tenure may come to an abrupt and unforgiving end.